All right. Welcome back. Episode 16 Pod Deep Podcast. We're gonna just jump right into it. Let's get into it. All right. So this week or last week, was it this week? So last week, Kendrick Lamar was awarded, well, his album Good Kid, Mad City was awarded by Rolling Stones the top concept album of all time. So I think that's a topic we can get into. I'm pretty sure everybody's going to have their top album probably will be a rap album. But what's your top concept album, rap or whatever kind of music? It can even be a comedy album if that's your top one. But what's your top pick for a concept album of all time?
What do you mean by concept album?
Give me a definition of concept.
It's an album that tells a complete story. So think of like a movie that's turned into an album, like an album that starts with the beginning. They introduce a topic, and then each song takes you through a complete story. Like Good Kid, Mad City is taking you through a day in the life of Kendrick Lamar in Compton. So that's why it's considered a concept album.
I think for me it'd be Death Certificate from Ice Cube.
Which is,
I think his concept was like Black Power. Even just not speaking in LA, just how the song Summer Vacation was how LA influenced St. Louis and stuff like that. So every other song was about things that was going on in the California lifestyle or in the Black community and stuff like that. Black Korea, gang banging with colorblind and stuff like that. I mean, he added No Vaseline to the end, but that's what he was going through. But that's probably my top concept albums.
Let me kind of open that definition up.
Okay.
What's an album that you would put against Death Certificate that starts and tells a complete story for you, that embodies a complete story from beginning to end, whether it's concept or not, just beginning to end, you got a full story out of that album?
Maybe Blueprint by Jay-Z. The Ruler's Back. Takeover.
I don't get it from that one.
Yeah, it's kind of okay. I got one. I have one. It's the soundtrack, the Jay-Z soundtrack.
American Gangster.
American Gangster. Like that one tells a complete story to me. It's basically about one topic, different parts of one topic chopped up, in the album. Or Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Would be a concept album.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think anything Kanye drops, right?
Yep, graduation, late registration,
yeah.
Those would be concept albums.
What about Common B album?
Why? Because it's more like a Black Power, Black empowerment type. Yeah, I can see that one. Probably throw the Chronic in, both Chronics. Kind of the same thing. All right. This is the answer. This is the winner. This is Marvin Gaye. I don't know if you can see that.
What was that?
It's called Hear My Dear. It's also known as the Divorce album. This is the album that he had to make. He was married to Berry Gordy's sister, and she wanted a divorce. He married her when she was like 16. And this was when at his, I don't know if you can call it his peak or his low, he was getting high all the time and broke. He couldn't afford to pay his divorce settlement. So a part of his settlement, he said, okay, I'll give you the proceeds to my next album, this is the album. Hear My Dear.
Oh, wow.
This is considered the first concept R&B album. Maybe the first concept album, but first concept R&B album for sure. So, she agrees to it because he's Marvin Gaye. He's on fire. So he's high on PCP, cocaine, everything. So what he does is he makes his album. He makes his album about his soon-to-be ex-wife. So it's songs like Sparrow. Anna, her name was Anna. Anna's song. He's just basically talking shit about her the whole album. So,
So basically, a concept is one theme for the entire album.
Basically,
is that kind of what is that kind of the idea of it?
Yeah, one story for the whole album.
Okay, I got two albums then.
Okay,
I got Death Certificate, Ice Cube, then I have R. Kelly, TP2.
Oh, really?
12 Play 2.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, 12 Play 2. Yeah, it's kind of in order. Somewhat. Yeah, I can see that one. You got anything, Rodney?
Yeah. Actually, I think Stevie Wonder has several concept albums that come prior to that. Here, My Dear, Songs in the Key of Life, for one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tells a complete picture from beginning to end. And that came out before Here, My Dear. Like basically his he had a run in the early to mid 70s where all his albums, like he won Grammys like 4 consecutive years, and the only year he didn't win is he didn't put out an album. And all of those albums, Songs in the Key of Life, Talking Book, Inner Visions, all of those albums tell a story, and most of it is telling it from the Black perspective of being coming out of the civil rights movement and coming into the 70s where we feel Blacks are feeling more empowered, but still on the short end of the stick. So he was telling that story in a lot of those albums. So I would say anything from Stevie Wonder in that period would be probably one of the best concept albums.
Side note, I wanna dig into that a little bit. That was a crazy stat you just gave about Grammys and albums. Stevie Wonder, is he like underrated? Should he have more fanfare? Is he like one of the most underrated like artists ever? Should he be up there like when you say like should his name ring like Elvis in your opinion, or great? Do y'all think he get that kind of respect?
I do. That album Rodney talking about, Talking Book, that's one of my favorite albums. Like everybody talk about the Key of Life, but I really love that album. You know what I'm saying?
You think he get the national recognition and credit that he deserves?
Nah, because at the end of the day, as a male singer, women have to see you like as a sex symbol, and he's probably never been revered as a sex symbol, as a handicapped blind man. You know what I'm saying? So he has the voice, he has the songs, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But he can get the 1 or 2, he's not getting the 3 and the 4, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's the one thing that probably set him apart. You know what I'm saying? He has the songs, he has the voice, and a lot of things that he was doing was original. But he doesn't have that sex symbol status that other male artists have.
I need to clean that up. He won Album of the Year 73. He won 1973, 1974. He didn't win it in 75 because he didn't put an album out. But then he came right back again and won it in 1976.
That's unbelievable. That's
so
crazy,
that's not R&B. That's not R&B album of the year.
Right.
That's album of the year across all genres.
Yeah. Yeah, just I don't know, man. Just to me, in my opinion, it seemed like he just slept on. Like he don't get. He should be in that same, the same sentences as, Michael and Elvis and, all the greats. But he just seemed like he got slept on. That's a good point, Squeak. Maybe because of the handicap, he not seen as, a great. But I just thought it just kind of bugged me that he ain't getting that. He don't get that same kind of recognition. But back on track, as far as concept albums, I'm not well versed on albums like that. But as far as a concept album that I thought was a well done album that you could follow was Kanye's albums. Mm-hmm. Like as far as with hip hop, he was the first ones. You know, I guess some of the early East Coast guys did it, but you could really follow his album, his story. You know, he's telling a story about graduation and telling a story about college and things like that. So I thought that was his first album. Graduation. I thought that was a great College Dropout. Yeah, my fault. College Dropout. I think that was a well done album from beginning to end, concept wise.
It was. I agree.
Hey, let me go back. We missed one. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? I'm looking at this Rolling Stone list. It's 19th on the list. Stevie Wonder is not even in the top 20 in this Rolling Stone list. But you know, Rolling Stone is kind of biased. Mm-hmm. But I think Marvin was first. This What's Going On was put out in 71, and Stevie Talking Book was 72. So you got to go back to more.
When you say concept albums, he was the first, you think? That's what you're saying is the first?
You know, without doing a lot of research. Yeah, I would say, Marvin, What's Going On?
Gotcha.
But both.
That list that you're referring to, Jared, what is that list?
It's the Rolling Stones. Let me see what they call it. Basically, Rolling Stone best concept album of all time, which is not quite right. They have Kendrick, Good Kid, Mad City, number 1. Number 2 is Green Day, American Idiot, Pink Floyd, number 3. And number 4 is Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links. I don't,
But so concept album versus album, because I'm quite sure Stevie Wonder has an album on Rolling Stone's top albums of all time, not concept albums, but just top albums of all time. Mm-hmm. I know he had some on that.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah, I agree. It's got to be on some list on here somewhere. It may even be on this concept album list, but I think it's 50 albums, and you have to scroll through page by page. Deontay Wilder fought this weekend, so I just want to show this clip. What's your take on Wilder? You think he's a real contender or just fighting a bum?
Well, that was his sparring partner. Dude, pretty strong. He's a real contender. I don't think he has a chance against Tyson Fury, but everybody else, I think he has the punching power to do something with. I think he's the real deal. I think he got that right hand that'll neutralize everything. What you think?
I think he might get knocked out if he tries to step up in competition against Tyson Fury, maybe even Joshua. He might be able to beat Ruiz. Am I saying it right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Ruiz.
But I think it'll be the same outcome if he tries to step back up and fight a Joshua or a Tyson Fury. But
I wasn't impressed. Like I wasn't impressed at all by that fight. He I don't know. It seems like he's. I think his confidence was a little bit taken from them Fury fights. I just don't. I just wasn't. I agree, Jared. If he fights Joshua, he fights Fury again. I don't think he'll beat him.
You have anything, Rodney?
Yeah, I think Wilder, he is who he is. He can't box. He just waits on. He just tries to land that right hand. So if he's in there in the ring with somebody that can box better than him, then he stands a good chance of losing. Unless he has a clear height advantage of some sort. I just don't see him being he's a good fighter for this time because he has no real skills, but there's no real other than 2 or 3 heavyweights. There's no real good heavyweights out there, so he's been able to build up that record on these clowns. But he has no boxing skills whatsoever. He just try to hit you with a right hand.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of, if you press him, you'll beat him.
Yeah, it's like.
Anybody have anything on the Devin Haney Kambosos fight?
Is he ready? Is he ready for any of the other cats?
Who?
Wilder.
You saying it's Wilder
Haney.
ready or Haney? What were you saying? You saying was he ready for any of those other?
No, I was talking about Haney. I was talking about is Haney ready for any of the other top guys in the lightweight division?
Yeah, he sparred with majority of them outside of Lomachenko. He's being advertised as a guy that doesn't have punching power, but if you watch any of his fights, you never see nobody run right over him. So he has some strength to himself. He's strong. He has a high IQ. He holding all the belts, and if he was as easy as everybody say, they'd be gunning down to go get him because he has 4 belts. But everybody at this point is looking to get up out the division.
You put Tank in that category?
Yeah, Tank is 135. Tank fight at 135. He's been up to 140. You know what I'm saying? Ryan Garcia is 135. He's thinking about going to 140. Lopez, he's already moved up to 140. The thing about Devin Haney is he's a fundamentally technical boxer. Sometimes he doesn't take risks. Like yesterday with Kambosos, he could have really put his foot on the gas and tried to stop Kambosos, but he didn't. Kambosos was switching out of range in front of him. He was going from a southpaw to an orthodox, but he wasn't doing it from a distance. And I don't know why Haney never countered him while he was doing it. You know what I'm saying? He just was stepping with his left foot forward and then coming back with his right foot forward. So he was giving Devin Haney all these looks, but Devin Haney wouldn't fire. You know what I'm saying? And in boxing, that's considered a no-no because you're switching your feet so you don't have your balance. You know what I'm saying? That's like a no-no. You don't really do that in boxing. But he was doing it to try to frustrate that Devin Haney.
To me, Devin Haney looked like he started fading toward the end. I think
there was some times where he did take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. But the dude did it all night. He did it all night. Now he did was hit him with a jab as opposed to a straight right that would, hurt him or go to his body.
All right, let's switch gears. I don't know what happened, but this episode seems a little lackluster.
What you mean?
Everybody seemed kind of down. Last episode was flowing to me a little bit better.
Oh nah. We'll get the top.
We'll hit our stride. Yeah, we'll hit it.
Yeah.
Good. Let's talk TV shows.
Okay.
I went back, and caught back up on House of Dragons. That's the best show on TV.
Really? It's
well written, good story, good characters. Yeah, that's the best show on TV to me.
Okay.
Like nothing is touched.
That whole Game of Thrones, that whole sequel, all that's good writing. Those guys do a great job on that. But I agree. I can't wait for tonight when it come on. It's that good to me.
I don't know why I've avoided that.
Oh man, it's
should be right up my alley.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. It's one of the best shows. Anybody heard about this show? It's called Deadwood, Yellowstone. Yeah. Heard about a show called Yellowstone?
Yeah, don't they come on like TBS or TM, the movie channel, something like that, or Paramount?
Like Peacock. I think come on like Peacock Network, but it's like somebody told me it's like the Sopranos meet a country western. I heard it's really good, but I haven't seen a lot of it. But I heard it's really, really good.
I saw the trailer of it. I just never got around to watching it.
Okay. But no, Jared, I agree. The writing is good. The characters are good. It just makes you want to keep watching it. Just it's so real with so real with.
That girl they have playing at the Princess, I think her name is Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
The young one and the one they have now, they cast that perfectly. That chick looks like she could be like a loose slut. The one that's playing her now.
Yeah.
I was telling Teresa that she looks believable. You know, you don't know, for you, Rodney Hughes, you may not know, but she has like kids by like her guard. She was messing with her first guard. She was messing with her uncle. It was an uncle, right?
Yeah.
She had kids by her guard. Now she's pregnant by her uncle, married to her uncle and pregnant by her uncle. So it gets crazy.
That's funny. I'm into Atlanta. This is the final season. I think they're on episode 5, but episode 4 was really funny. They did I could tell at the end, he was talking about Tyler Perry. So it was kind of shocking to see the spin he put on it. He was calling him Mr. Chocolate. You know, it was based on a movie set. And it's just an interesting, it's creative. It's an interesting way how Donald Glover writes that I find funny. You know, it ain't gut rich and funny sometimes in some scenes, but what I like about a TV show is that when you do comedy, when you have multiple characters that can provide the comedy, and it's just not one individual that you get your laughs from and stuff like that. You know, I think it's ahead of its time. I hate to see it go, and I really like Atlanta.
Is that a comedy, like a sitcom, or what is that? Or is it like what is
it's a comedy?
Is it?
It's I think it depends on the episode. Every episode is not about laughter. You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes what he do is he tells a story from a world perspective, but just use Atlanta as the place. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the episodes, the first episode this season didn't have any of the main characters in it. So I was like, what the hell am I watching? But it was telling a story that really actually happened in real life events of two there was 2 white ladies that had some adopted kids, black kids. And they were just feeding them anything they wanted to feed them. But at the end of the day, they were getting ready to do a suicide. They killed in real life. They killed those kids. But in the sitcom, one of the kids got out and saved it. So when they went to commit suicide, all the kids was out in the woods, and the 2 ladies just drowned in the river and stuff like that. So nothing funny about that part. But what was funny was how he put it into a sitcom, and you could see real life events happening, and you're like, wait a minute, I heard about that story. You know what I'm saying? And he's put it in this episode. So it's funny how he has the medicine, and you have to catch it, because they're not going to just tell you like this is what it's about. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to catch it.
Do you like Atlanta better than like The Shy? I've never seen either one of them. Are they very similar? Are they very different?
Everything's different. Like The Shy, Atlanta, Insecure. You're talking 3 different sitcoms that at different times can give you a little laughter or tell you a story. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta is different because different episodes, they'll have it just about one character arc. You know what I'm saying? So every week is different how they're gonna do it. They have a theme and stuff like that. You know, Insecure, I got laughs out of that. I like that. You know, that was on HBO, and I think they completed their season either early this year or last year. You know, some of our legends that we grew up really liking. How would we like them in today's standard back in our days if we had social media. You know what I'm saying? Like, would it really affect the way you feel about certain people that you thought highly of to see them, interacting on, things that they would say on Twitter and stuff like that. I think about that like Pac, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never knew Pac privately, but to get an insight on his life, like, would that affected how I really liked him as an artist, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think a lot of the people of that time were pretty much with the status quo. Like, they didn't want to ruffle no feathers. So I think to your point, if you heard more from them during that time, it may have swayed you, because you might have heard some shit. Michael Jordan is famous for the Republicans buy shoes topic. Comment. And that pretty much let him know, like, I'm shutting the fuck up.
Hey, explain that comment. I'm not familiar with that. What did Michael Jordan say?
What'd you say, Jared?
Explain that comment. I'm not familiar with that comment. The Michael Jordan comment.
So there was a Democratic candidate in North Carolina. I forgot what he was running, what the person was running for, but he was out of North Carolina. He was a Democratic candidate, and they wanted Jordan. He was a black candidate, and they wanted Jordan to get behind him.
Endorse him.
And Jordan said, I'm just, I'm gonna play the back, because Republicans buy shoes too. That's the gist of the comment. There's been some back and forth. Was it said exactly like that? But the gist of the comment was Republicans buy shoes too, so he's just gonna not get involved in it. So, and pretty much after that, you never heard him say anything else concerning politics or social issues or anything like that. He kind of stayed clear of that. And then the other, y'all ever hear the story about Craig Hodges and how he tried to get Magic and Michael to boycott the finals?
Yes, I have heard. I heard about that.
Nah, enlighten me. What happened?
So he pretty much that. I think it was over the Rodney King. I think it's over the Rodney King situation, and he went to Magic and Michael and wanted them to boycott the '91 NBA Finals.
And they both said no.
Yeah.
I mean, but was it any like animosity behind it, or that?
Yeah,
or
they said no.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know why I said, but I don't know why I haven't heard that.
It's hard to get people to stick together for a common cause. People have their own agendas.
Yeah, exactly, Jared. Everybody got their own agenda.
But
everybody trying to.
That's a pretty big ass, though.
Yeah. Well, it is, but it really isn't, because of the gravity of what it was, though. Rodney King. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If that happened today, they would have stopped the finals, right? That would have been that. So for the gravity of what it actually was, a black man getting beaten, by cops, it actually was a pretty big deal then. It'll even be a bigger deal now, and I think they would shut down everything now. I think they'll boycott everything now. But you're right. I mean, I think agendas had a lot to play with it, and money on the table. A lot of people losing money. Ain't nobody interested in losing no money. What it comes down to.
Wasn't Craig Hodges? Wasn't he one of the first to like boycott boycott the anthem? Or that was Chris?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
No.
All right.
That was Mahmoud Rauf.
Yeah, what was his?
That's Mahmoud Abdul Rauf.
Okay. Yeah. I remember
Real
seeing
name
that.
Chris Jackson.
Yeah, okay.
I mean his birth name. I won't say his real name. His birth name is Chris Jackson.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um. But one thing about that though, you talk about the agendas and what happened during that time. But it seems to me that the the strides that black people made in the 60s, 70s, around that range, to me, it made people less, I mean, to for lack of a better word, less woke, to where they really in the 80s wasn't nobody really, you couldn't get an athlete to really stand up about anything. Whereas in the 60s, you know, if you didn't, they looked at you like you was a coon. But with the progress that we made over that time in the 70s and the 80s, you saw less activism. And therefore, I think that's kind of where Jordan, Magic, all those, to where they wouldn't be like, nah, I ain't finna risk it all, for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to win a chip. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that kind
Mm-hmm.
of bred that way of thinking.
I think that, and also the money part of it. I mean, Magic was making $1 million, during that time. So I think that was a big part of it. The money part came into play, and the agenda. I'm gonna make this bread, and I'm gonna stay quiet so I can continue to make this bread. You know, versus the bigger picture. So, but who can blame them though, man? Who can blame them?
Yeah, it's about self-preservation. Let me
Yeah,
let me
man.
kind of let me kind of stay in this lane. Something, Rodney, I wanted to ask you about. Uh, so, Rodney, you served in the military. So, do you feel like going into this, like talking about your experience in the military, what made you sign up? How did you feel when it was over? Did you want to stay in, and maybe something happened and you came back, or were you just over it and it was time to let it go? And how much time did you spend in the military?
Okay. So I did 6 years in the Navy, and um, my experiences in the Navy are just like, one of the things that really came to light was that a black man catches hell everywhere in the world. And what I mean by that is I've been to places all over the world, and people barely know how to speak English. But guess what? The one word they know what to say when they see us.
Oh, really?
Like what country?
So
Name a country. Name a
so
country.
I've been in, huh?
Name a country where you
Any
experienced that.
I've been to Vladivostok, Russia. Russia. I've been to Russia, and the white and the Russians, could barely speak English, but the first word out of their mouth was nigger.
In what kind of context? And like a evil hatred kind of context?
So that was one of the don't matter. For real, it don't really matter how they say it, but the fact
Mm-hmm.
that that's the first thing out their mouth. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the biggest takeaways for me is that a black man can't catch a break anywhere because someone's always got you know they gonna throw it in your face.
Mm.
Um, and you asked why did I go? So I went because I was over the school thing. You know, you know. I ran out of gas my last 2 years of high school. It was just like I'm over this shit. So
Mhm.
I got in a position where hell I had to do something. So the military was presented itself as a viable option, because you don't want to be um, an anchor on your parents. So I looked at it like, well, hell, I can do this. I can get out of their hair. I can go explore the world, do whatever, you know. But one thing about it, though, I found out, and my father, he ended up telling me this, you know, because he was in the army, but you know, you don't know how much you don't know until you don't know. So when I get out in the world and meeting different people from all over the country, all over the world, or whatever, you know, kind of made me sit back and like, damn, you know, I thought I was you know, the most smartest cat, most hip cat, but it's other motherfuckers out here that got the same type of, mind frame, if not higher. So, it was a eye opening experience, to say the least.
Hey, was that a 4-year contract or a 6-year contract?
Mine was 6 years,
Okay.
based on the fact that my first 2 years or year and a half, I wasn't going to see a ship. I was going to be going through the schools. I had like a year and a half, 2 years of schooling that I had to go through before I went to the ship. So therefore, my contract was for 6 years.
What made you pick the Navy over any other branch? Would you just
The Army will end up in a jungle. Marines, you can end up jungle, desert. Um, so my choices were Air Force and Navy. Because I always heard that the Air Force had it kind of easy. So I was planning on going to the Air Force, but I was just in my usual procrastination mode. So I never, jumped and did it. It just so happens that the Navy called me at home one day. They called me out the blue and asked me to come down and take the ASVAB. It's called an ASVAB test. That's what everybody take before you go in. So they called me and asked me, would I be available to take it? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go. Let's do it. So I went and took the test. I passed. Well, it ain't necessarily a pass or fail, but based on your score kind of dictates what kind of job you will have. So I was a year removed from high school, so I scored pretty high on it. So that's how I got into the field. I got into. I was I was in the advanced electronic computer field, which led me to being a radar technician. Once I got to my ship,
So from the time you received that phone call, what year was that to the time that you actually reported to duty or boot camp? Was that like in '96 when they gave you?
Say that again, Squeak.
I said from the time you received that phone call to come take that test, what was that time frame to the time you reported to boot camp?
It was early '96, so about March or April of '96 is when I actually got I actually got inducted March of '96, but I was in a delayed entry program, so that means I'm in the Navy, but I won't report until later because I wanted to get my summer in. So I don't know if you recall, but it was a lot of clubs that summer of '96.
I remember.
So I wanted to get that in
Yeah.
before I reported. So I ended up reporting August of '96. That's when I reported.
So without that call, was it always on the back of your mind, or that call is what sped it up for you in taking the test?
That call is what did it, because I don't know if I would have had the initiative to actually go seek them out and and do it. That call out the blue was a blessing because because I probably wouldn't have done it before. I probably wouldn't have done it without that incentive. So that call was a blessing. And when they called, I was like, you know what, fuck it. You know, this is what I got to do. And I knew it really necessarily wasn't for me. You know, because there's a lot of shit that you go through that growing up the way we did. You know, it's just you know that life ain't for you, but you know you deal with it. You know.
Hey, Rodney, kind of talk us through boot camp. I was watching a YouTube video. It was a National Guard, boot camp video. They yelling, "Put your paper in your right hand, bag in the left hand." Telling you, "Did I say move? Don't move. Give me some push-ups." Can you kind of just talk us through your boot camp experience?
um, yeah. So leading up to that, so the group that I was in, we were called the Cardinal Company. It was a mixture of guys that were from Missouri, as far as Memphis, Illinois, some from Iowa, some from Kansas, and we were called a Cardinal Company, and we actually did a ceremonial induction at the Cardinals game. Um, they were playing the Padres, if I'm not mistaken. So they told us that okay, they took us on the field and we did a ceremonial where we held our hand up and got inducted into the Navy. But but we had been inducted 6 months prior to that, but it was like a ceremonial thing. So we did that, and they told us at the bottom of the seventh inning, we leaving and we getting on this bus and we headed to Great Lakes, Illinois. So, um, that was like the most nervous I ever been. As them and the Cardinals was they wasn't doing shit. They was going 1, 2, 3. So them innings was kind of going quick. So I ended up so bottom of the seventh. My drill instructors, they was all nice and shit from inning 1 to inning 6. But when that seventh inning hit, they was like, "All right, get up," and get in line. Straighten this line up. Just trying to get you in the mode of what it's gonna be. And then so we left the game and we drove straight up there. We got there about 1 o'clock in the morning, and they had us do some little initial in processing. But no, I take that back. We laid down about 1 o'clock in the morning after that initial processing, and then they woke us up at 4, and they did the standard thing that you see on a lot of movies. They got the trash can and the baton and they banging it and shit, screaming, yelling, get up. So that's when I was like, man, what the fuck did I get myself into? That was the first what the fuck moment. But it's after the initial shock of that, you know what I'm saying? Because well, I ain't got none now, but before then, you know what I'm saying? We used to having hair, so they give you the buzz cut, and they don't care how I look. You know what I'm saying? They ain't giving you no line up. It's just like, you wearing tight whiteys. I had gave that shit up, 2 or 3 years prior. And I was a boxing man at that point, so the little workout shorts that they gave you, they was coming to the top of your thigh. You know, just little shit like that was just it was you just had to adjust, and so I never been around white boys before. Growing up, how we grew up in public PHL, so it's like
Yeah.
you don't see white people, so
Yeah.
so that was my first introduction to them.
Mhm.
So I got it, I got into it with a couple, not on no race shit,
Mhm.
not on nothing racial, but it was more so like, you know, you ain't finna, you ain't finna punk me. So one of the things that they like to do, which I always thought was gay as hell, they like to wrestle. They like to motherfucking wrestle. And I would always be standing on the sideline saying, man, y'all gay as hell, man. Why y'all up here wrestling? Why don't y'all box or do something like that? So, my guy, he said something to the effect of, you just saying it because you can't do it or whatever. I'm like, I don't want to do it. It's like, well, get down. I'm like, so anyway, we ended up wrestling. So we getting down, and I got him in the headlock. He started turning purple. We wasn't grappling. I just wanted to get him and hold him. So I had him in the headlock, and they just they eventually came and broke us up. But boot camp was interesting, and like by the third or fourth week, I was over it. The first 3 or 4 weeks, I was kind of a little nervous, a little shook, but by the third or fourth week, I was over it. I'm like, man, this ain't shit. Fuck y'all. You want to work us to death? All right, come on, let's do it. That's probably the best shape I was ever in my life during that time. So the first week or two, Jared, is an adjustment for all them things I said, just coming from where we come from and getting into that mindset. One of the few things that I carried over from boot camp is I can fold the shit out of some clothes. I mean, I'm talking like I fold a t-shirt and had that motherfucker like this. You know what I'm saying? That's because that's on a ship you don't have a lot of space. You don't have a lot of space for your belongings. Like the bed that we slept on the ship was probably maybe it was just long enough for you to get into it and stretch out, but that was it. And then your mattress was this thick, and then so it was like a coffin. So you raise it up, and then you had storage space underneath. But that's pretty much all the storage space you had. So that's why they taught us in boot camp to where you have to fold your clothes a certain way to maximize your space. So like, hey, if y'all ever need me to come over and fold some shit, I will fold the fuck out of some shit for y'all, and you will have more space than you ever would have.
Let me ask you 2 questions about that boot camp. So was it
t-shirt?
Was it ever a time where you wanted to go AWOL because it was that jacked up, or it was that hard for you? And then were you all in co-ed dorms, or was it unisex?
It was a time that I wanted to stop, but it wasn't because it was too hard. It was because I saw through the bullshit. Because it wasn't too hard, but I just saw through the nonsense, and I'm like, man, fuck this. But what kept me in it was, and this wasn't a good reason, but what kept me in it was how I would look to my family and friends. Like, how would it look if I didn't complete it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I mean, on the surface, that might mean something, but at the end of the day, your family and friends ain't going through the shit you are. So you need to do what works best for you, and not worry about how it looks to others, because they're not going through it. But at the time, that was my thinking. Like, nah, fuck this. I'm gonna do this, and I'm not gonna quit on it. And what was the second part of that?
Was the barracks, were they co-ed or unisex?
Oh, no, they were not. They were not unisex. Okay. But you did see women, like when you was marching to the mess hall, or doing, just going around. You would see them, and it would be like, you know, like damn, did you see old girl? And
Y'all
if you
wasn't grouped
saw,
together?
fuck no,
Oh wow.
they kept us. I mean, that's you, if you're trying to build discipline in a young man, you can't have him fucking mingling with a woman. You know what I'm saying? It's all about building discipline. So you gotta keep that shit separate. So we would
Mm.
see him, and you know what I'm saying, it would, you know, we would go back to the barracks and talk about it and be like, "Did you see old girl? Whatever, whatever." And
Mhm.
but for what it really was like high school. After we're done with doing whatever we got to do in a day, because our day started at 4. It started at 4 a.m. every day, and then around 9 o'clock we would be back at the barracks, and we would have like an hour to like kind of decompress. And that's when a lot of the shit talking started. That's when I started wrestling white boys on the floor. So around that time, because taps is at 10 o'clock. That's lights out. So that's 2200. Um, so that would be lights out. So you would have like an hour or so to decompress. But that's actually when I first heard the term. Um, Somebody said "bout it" to me, because I told you it was a Cardinal company. We had people from all in the Midwest. So we had people from Memphis. We had
Mhm.
people from a little further down south. And these cats was talking about they bowed it. I'm like, and I mean, I don't even know why they talking about it, because they ain't from New Orleans, but they from Memphis. So they
Mhm.
talking about they bowed it. They bowed it. I'm like,
Mhm.
the fuck are you talking about? You bowed it? Like what? Like Master P? You know what I'm saying? Like Master P. I'm like, the ice cream man? Because I didn't listen to his album
Mhm.
other than I never heard anything other than the Ice Cream Man and Break 'Em Off something with UGK.
Mhm.
I
Right.
never heard about it. So yeah, so that's during that time we did a lot of, that's where I got to learn a lot about the South. I got a chance to learn a lot about the East Coast. Um, and that's and I forgot it. That's when I found out that Tupac was dead. I was in boot camp.
Oh wow.
So there was no email. There was none of that. We wrote letters. So um, we were in the mess hall getting food, and the people that work there, they're like civilians, saying they're not isolated like we are. Like we don't have any TV, no radio, no music or nothing. We're just isolated. But the people that work in the cafeteria and things of that nature, they're regular people, so they go home at the end of the day. So one of the guys said, "Hey, y'all know Tupac dead, right?" And I'm like, "What the fuck you talking about?"
Mhm.
So once we got back to the barracks, I got my pen and my pencil and paper, and I wrote, my girl, and asking her, is this true? And shit, by that time he had been dead probably a week at least.
Mhm.
No, maybe no, he wasn't dead a week. I think he may have been dead a couple days. But by the time I got confirmation, shit, he had been dead a week. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And I remember we was like all the brothers in that company, man. We was sit rapping to ourselves and shit, because we ain't got no music. So,
Right.
we all talking about our best, our favorite Tupac songs and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the. Oh yeah, I also found out I was a father in that same letter. How about that shit? I was gonna be a father. So in one letter, I found out Tupac dead, and I'm gonna be a father.
Oh
How
wow.
about that?
No, that's cool.
So wait a minute. For boot camp, you just arrive with the clothes on your back. You don't get to bring like no radio or anything or any of your music.
Yep.
Wow. I never knew that.
Fuck no.
It's almost like jail.
I had on a pair of Dope Man Nikes. um, I had on a pair of Dope Man Nikes, some Levi's, and like a little polo shirt. So when I got there, they took that shit put it in a bag, and they handed me some tidy whities, some little silk gym shorts that was very short. Um, they gave us like some, I forgot what kind of shoes. They gave us some Nikes, but they were like, well, no, matter of fact, I ain't wear their shoes. I wore my shoes. They let us they let us keep our stuff. We just couldn't wear it. But I kept my shoes. So I wore my shoes working out. That was me being defiant. Like, fuck that. I ain't finna wear y'all shoes. I'm wearing my own shoes. But they was dope. They was some brand new dope man Nikes. They were all white, and the Nike sign had the dots. The dots, y'all remember them?
I remember them.
I don't remember them, but I don't remember them.
I remember them.
And so,
they
were dope man Nikes, and instead of like a solid Nike sign, the Nike sign was just in dots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all white. Yeah.
So I had a brand new pair of them, and you know how like the sole got like them little ridges and shit.
Mm-hmm.
The sole got little ridges on them, but by the time I got done with boot camp, all the motherfucking ridges was gone. Them motherfuckers was flat as motherfucker.
I remember.
They ran our ass to death.
Surprised that sole didn't, come off that shoe.
Ran our ass to death. But
Rodney,
it held up. It held up for 8 weeks, man. It held up for 8 weeks.
Take us to the end of the 8 weeks. Okay, it's at the end of the 8 weeks. How many people quit or got kicked out? And then what happens at the end of the 8 weeks?
Or went AWOL.
We talking shit. What are we talking? 25 years? 26, 7 years ago?
Yeah, 26.
I don't think anyone didn't make it.
Okay.
I don't think anyone didn't make it. I think the biggest thing. Well, I'll tell y'all a story. The scariest thing. So, what's the thing that black folks are known for not being able to do?
Swim.
So you got a company full of black dudes, right? So you got a company full of black dudes, and none of us really know how to swim. So one of the things in boot camp that you have to do is you have to jump off of a tower, probably 20 feet up. You jump off the tower into the water.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you're in the water, the way it is, you're gonna go straight to the bottom, and they'll teach you how to get back, up to the top. So, we in the pool. Well, we on the edge of the pool, and they showing us what we need to do. About 4 or 5 black dudes passed out just before we even got on top of the tower. They just passed the fuck out. One dude passed out, hit his head, busted his head open, blood all on the side of the pool. You know what I'm saying? We looking at this shit. Couple motherfuckers started crying. It was a mess, man, because motherfuckers knew they couldn't swim, and they knew we had to go in this water, man. So, that was a crazy day diving in that water, but we did it. And when it got to be my turn, I pretty much looked at it like, these motherfuckers ain't gonna let me drown. So let me just step off of this tower, because they told you to. So you gotta cross your arms and you just step off. So my thing to myself was, they're not gonna let me drown. So let me just step off this motherfucker. I stepped off, and actually I got up. I did what they said and got back up to the top, and it was all good. So that was a crazy moment. And the tear gas. So they make you. One of the things they do is they put you in this little shed, and they set off tear gas, and they Actually, I kind of like that because growing up the way I did, you had to show me. Like I always thought, I ain't give a fuck what you said. I can do it. I can do it. I don't care how tough it is. I can do it. That's how I felt about a lot of shit. So they talking about this tear gas. So I'm like, whatever. So they took us in the shed, and we had our gas mask on. So they set it off, and then they make you take your gas mask off, and then you have to recite we got what they call general orders. You got 10 general orders. So they might be like, all right, what's your third general order? So you have to recite it while you inhaling this tear gas. So, and then they'll ask you what's the last four of your social or some shit like that. So they got to me, and I'm like, I got this. I took my motherfucking mask off. They're like, what's your third general order? I'm like, just choking and gagging and spitting up. And they threw me out of there like, get out of here, you know what I'm saying? And that tear gas ain't no motherfucking joke. I don't know how the motherfucking activists and rioters deal with it. That shit is no joke.
Okay.
That shit is no joke.
So 8 weeks is a.
But and one more thing before you go into something else, Jared. But yeah, let me answer. So to answer I guess I ain't really answer your question. But as far as the end of the 8 weeks, so when you really get to like the 6 week, they really kind of let up on you because you're almost at the end. So they're not doing all that hype shit that they were doing the first few weeks or first couple days. They're not doing any of that. So it's pretty much relaxed. And so a lot of the stuff they do, like you do a lot of classes. So you go through classes and you kind of learning military history. With us being in the Navy, we did a lot of knot tying, learning how to tie different knots. So they would give you a rope and you would put it behind your back and they would tell you what kind of knot you need to tie. So you would have to try to tie that knot behind your back. So it wasn't really a lot, we went to the gun range and shot and all that shit, but a lot of the shit is just really getting you trained, getting you disciplined, getting you used to getting up, being on time, being prompt, learning military history, being abreast of all that. A lot, it was, a lot of it was physical too, because if somebody would fuck up, then they would punish everybody, and they would work you. But all in all, it wasn't bad at all. And by the 8th week, they were pretty lax, and it was just we just sitting around talking about what we gonna do when we get out, like jail.
Would you do it again if you had to? If you was walk back in time,
I tell you
would
one
you do it
thing
again?
though, it got real. Would I do it again? Under those circumstances, yeah, I would. The only thing I would do different probably is I probably would take it a lot more serious. I didn't take it serious when I was going through it. I was mainly looking at let me get this 6 years over as quick as possible so I can get back. Because I was homesick, the first few months. No. I was homesick, I guess, a few weeks in boot camp. Because once I got out of boot camp, then hell, there was a while that I was coming home, shit, damn near every weekend. So there wasn't no homesickness. It's just I knew that me and my personality clashed with with the military. So I was like, let me hurry up and get this time over with. But if I had to do it all over again, I would have a probably a better. I would take it more seriously and have a better mindset. Now I still don't think I would do 20 because even though I'm sitting here now at 45, when you're 18, hell, I think I was 17 when I went in. I don't even think I had turned 18 yet. No. I was 18. I was 18. I wasn't 18 when I graduated. So yeah, I was 18 when I went in. But you can't picture yourself at 38 because they say, yeah, man, you go in at 18, you do 20 years, and hell, you be 38, and you get out. I'm like 38. Should I be owning a motherfucker? What you talking about? So I couldn't. I don't think I could ever still do 20, but I think I could have made the 6 years that I did do. I could have definitely made that much more easier because my whole 6 years I was going against the grain, so it never was. It going against the grain made it harder than it needed to be if I had a different mindset. And one more thing, I don't know if I ever told y'all this, but the realest the shit ever got to me. Well, no, when the shit really hit home was like I went in '96. I didn't go to a ship until '98,
Damn.
and then I went to a ship. As soon as I got to the ship, we went on a 6 month deployment, and we went to the Gulf. Well, we stopped other places, but we ended up in the Gulf. And so I'm in the Persian Gulf, and they got a pistol. I got a pistol in my hand, well, on my side with a round in the chamber, and I'm on like I'm walking on the pier like, am I really ready to shoot a motherfucker? Like 6 months ago, I was in Emerald City. Now I'm on a pier with a round in a chamber, and some shit go down. I'm expected to shoot him. You know, so that was like one of the scariest moments because I was like, I didn't know if I was ready. I mean, because we had did our boot camp and did all that shit, but like this shit's real now. And you know, later on, when I was over there, I don't know if y'all remember the USS Cole. Um, that was a destroyer. It was a ship that was in Yemen, and they set off a bomb. So what happens is when you're on a ship, you pull in the pier. Now you what happens is you'll have some of the locals. They'll get in like a little boat and they'll come up to the ship, to help um
Dock you.
what we call mooring. So we have lines that we throw over to the pier, and they secure the ship. But you have the locals. They'll be in little boats, and they'll come up to the boat to the ship, and they'll come on board and sell their little wares or whatever. So what happened with the USS Cole? It was a ship like that, a little boat came up to them, and the guys were waving and acting like they were all friendly. And once they got up to the ship, they set off a bomb and killed however many people. We do that shit all the time. You know what I'm saying? And it's like damn, that could have been us. You know what I'm saying? That shit could have happened to us. So um, the danger was there. We kind of, I don't know if I poo pooed it, but the danger was always there. Um, we shot, we had a mission in Afghanistan where we shot we shot Tomahawk missiles at technically it was Bin Laden. It wasn't Bin Laden, but it was some of his strongholds in Afghanistan. That we were, like some couple of factories and some other strongholds that supposed to have ammunition and things like that. I don't think it was necessarily we was targeting him, but because it was after there was some U.S. embassy bombings in '98 that he was responsible for. So we were called to strike Afghanistan. So um, yeah, it was like a bunch of targets try to neutralize him. It wasn't necessarily to kill him, but to neutralize him. But anyway, that was some real shit too, because it was like, nigga, this is damn near war, you know. And I didn't sign up for this. I signed up to do 6 years, go to school and get up out of here. But we damn near on some war shit. So that shit was crazy, and we acted like some pussies. We shot like 10 Tomahawk missiles. We basically did the drive by. We was in Jabal Ali, and we left there because we started off in the United Arab Emirates. No, we was in Dubai. That's where we was at. Well, one of them, I don't know. We left there, and then we went off the coast of Pakistan, and then we shot our missiles over Pakistan going to Afghanistan. And then once we shot our load, we got up out of there, and then and we was doing the limit of what a ship can do. So y'all know how them speed boats be, kind of be bouncing off the motherfucking water as they going. Our ship was 567 feet long, and that's considered a small ship in the Navy. Wow. But it was 567 feet long, and that motherfucker was bouncing off that water like a damn speedboat. We was getting up out of there so quick because we didn't know what was coming back at us. So we shot our Tomahawk missile, and then we skirted, and that motherfucker was bouncing the whole way. But yeah, that's what it was.
Very interesting story. I think your story, when people hear this, may inspire some people. I think, it's a good story from beginning to up to this point. I think when people hear your story, kids who are thinking about going, it may inspire them to go, or it may inform them that this is not for them. So I think it's a good story that people need to hear. That can help people either way.
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely have to find your own path. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm the most patriotic, because as a black man, you go through a lot of shit in the world, and that shit don't stop when you go to the military. You're dealing with the same type of pitfalls when you get to the military as well. So it ain't all peaches and cream. Like, when you go to that military, you still gonna have to deal with some of that same bullshit. But I think I'm still better off for it, because well, first of all, I didn't know how to go to college, because I wasn't given those tools to know how to even apply for the shit. And even if I did, I probably would have flunked out, because I just wasn't ready for that shit. So going to the military definitely provided me with an avenue to just get a new perspective on life and learn some skills. Like I said, I can fold the shit out of some clothes.
You guys have any questions? You cool?
I'm good.
All right.
And maybe in later podcasts, I'll have a military story of the day. We can give me a couple of minutes in our next, future podcast, and I give you guys a little nugget from my military service.
All right. Say maybe next time also, if you feel like it, you want to share about your experience as a stockbroker. You were probably still are. You're still are Series 7 certified, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't hold your license if you don't have a sponsorship. You have a sponsorship for over 2 years. You can't hold your license. But yeah, I have my licenses, all my licenses.
Okay. Yeah, if that's something you feel like you want to share, again, these stories can help inspire somebody. Somebody's, kids may get turned on to these different fields or different, different experiences. So it may help somebody. You never know.
All right. Yeah.
So I think
we can carve out some time in the future. Yep, we can do that definitely.
All right. So we are close to an hour and a half. Let's go ahead and sign off. This was episode 16 of the Pod Deep podcast. It's available everywhere. Every other podcast is heard. You'll find this at YouTube.com/Pod Deep. Please like, subscribe, comment, drop a comment. Look out for clips, and we appreciate it. All right. Good night.
Peace.
Peace.